Alrighty, so last lesson we were looking at flat maps, but the thing is, right, is that a flat map is not actually what the Earth looks like. For unless you're a flat earther, you've got a pretty high chance of knowing that the Earth is round. And so the equator isn't actually a straight line, it's actually a circle that runs across the globe. And similarly for the prime meridian is a line that runs vertically down. And we can actually kind of get a sense for, where the locations all are. The main thing about the prime meridian is that it runs through the United Kingdom, which is why I had to draw it on the last map. And the equator is just literally halfway up and down. And countries near the equator tend to be quite hot because it tends to stay fairly centrally located. But there's one more line I didn't tell you about, which is what is on the other side of the prime meridian. What's on the opposite side? Well, we call that the Anti-Meridian. And it means that the Anti-Meridian is basically the other border for east and west. Because if you keep going east and east and east and east, eventually you will end up on the west side of the globe. And similarly, if you go west, 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 west all the way around the globe, you'll end up on the east side. So it's one of these things where we need to kind of have an arbitrary line which says this is as far east and as far west as you can go. On a flat map, it looks something like this. And most flat maps are drawn in this way, where you end up having, let me do it in the right colors. You'll have the prime meridian in the middle, you'll have the equator running through, and then both of these lines on the far side are actually the anti-meridian. Alrighty. Now just to get some numbers on this scale, the furthest north you can be is up here and it's 90 degrees north. And similarly, the furthest you can be south is 90 degrees south. Now at both of these locations, you're at the north or south pole. This is the geometric one. This is literally the top of the Earth or the bottom of the Earth. So it's up here or down here. On the east-west scale, you've actually got a little bit more wiggle room, because it needs to wrap all the way around a circle, and so we've got 180 degrees east on this side, and then we've got 180 degrees west on this side. So just so that you're aware, the longitude scale, which is east to west, is 180 on either side, while the north-south latitude is only 90 degrees up and down. Alrighty, so that's a little bit of globe. Now let's have a look at a question. So this time we've been given globes and we've been given angles, and what we need to do is actually use those to see exactly where these places are, what places are closer to this. So we have south and east. So because it's south, it needs to be below the equator. So it could be Rio de Janeiro, it could be Perth, or it could be Santiago. Those are the only places which are below the equator. But the other piece of information is we're told it's 116 degrees to the east. So remember, since this is the prime meridian here, this way would be towards the east. This one here, well, this says 90 degrees east. And if you know much, the prime meridian's actually right over here. So the prime meridian is 0 degrees east. This line here is 90 degrees. This would be a little bit further. So it looks like it's going to be Perth, but let's just double check that it's not Santiago. Oh, but we can see that this is in the western hemisphere, so it's actually going the wrong way. It's not going to the east, it's actually going to the west. So it is indeed going to be Perth. Alrighty, let me get rid of all my chicken scroll, and let's have a look at the next one. So the next one is in the northern hemisphere, so that means it's either going to be Los Angeles, Tokyo, Dublin, or Jerusalem. All of the other all of the other cities, are all in the southern hemisphere. So that's using the 34 north. Let's look at the 118 west. Alrighty, well, once again, we've got the prime meridian. So it can't be Jerusalem because it's in the eastern hemisphere. It could be Dublin, but I don't think it's west enough. And in fact, we can see this, again, the prime meridian is 0 degrees east and west, and this one here is 90. So it's not far enough along, so it's also not going to be Dublin. Tokyo's out. It's also in the eastern hemisphere. So it's going to have to be in the western hemisphere, which, by process of elimination feels like it has to be Los Angeles. But let's just double check. So this is 0 degrees. We've got this line here, which is 90 degrees, and we can see that over here would be further than 90 degrees. And so indeed, it is going to be Los Angeles. Alrighty, so that's how you can use a curved globe. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.